You're listening to the Two Tongues Podcast. And now your hosts, Kyle and Chris.
Season 5, episode 6.
Buongiorno. Welcome back, one and all, to another episode of the Two Tongues Podcast. A podcast where today, Kyle's drinking out of a unicorn cup. Show them, Kyle. Up somewhere. There it is.
Christmas.
Unicorn cup.
Get it into the...
Oh, you know what? I also forgot to do this. Hold on. Come on now. Okay, well, hold on. There we go.
Looking professional.
Yeah, I need that ring light on so my eyes twinkle. Can't be on the internet without twinkly eyes. Everyone else has got twinkly eyes.
Looking very professional.
I have to look at my camera. And what the audience doesn't know is that Kyle's directly over here. So I'm not looking at him.
Nope.
No, I am. All right, he's a handsome fella. Okay, guys. Season 5, episode 6. I think you're right.
Here we are, yeah. Well, that's what you typed, so.
Yep. I got a nice cold Peroni. Where is it? Man, these cameras.
Italian beer.
Mm-hmm.
I like Peroni. It's good stuff.
Yeah. I think I'm really starting to gravitate towards Pilsners. And it took me a long time, man. Like I started drinking beer like in my mid to late 20s. Never really liked it.
Yeah.
And then I found some stuff I liked, and it was stuff that doesn't taste like beer. It was like fancy Christmas beer and pumpkin, Southern Tier. Shout out to Southern Tier. Now I'm drinking real beer. It's Italian, but it's real beer.
It's Italian, but it's real.
That's why
it's
I'm
still real beer.
Rocking just a tiny bit of chest hair for the purposes of drinking Italian beer.
Got some olive oil in your hair.
You know it. What do you? I'm gonna ruin that. What do you think keeps it up, Slick? I know everything there is to know about maple syrup.
Good old Vince Vaughn.
All right, so I told you I'm going to Texas.
Yeah, Tejas.
I've never been to Texas.
Gonna jump the border into Mexico.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump the border into Mexico so I can come back and stay at a 5-star hotel for free.
Yep.
No. In all seriousness, friend of ours, Kevin. You know Kevin. He's from Texas, and he's going to visit, and we're just going to go with him and hang out with him at his family's house.
Nice.
They have a pool house we're going to stay in. It's on a cattle ranch. It's in the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere.
Sounds pretty sweet.
We're going to barbecue. We're going to
Enjoy that Texas heat.
it's going to be like, there's a pool, so yeah, but it's going to be like in the 80s and 90s, which is awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. Nice to get out of town for a little while.
Yeah. I'm paranoid. So it's a weird thing. I'm paranoid about all of the dangers of Texas that I
Like rattlesnakes and shit?
rattlesnakes and scorpions and black widows and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like
Mexicans.
I feel like complaining about this makes me seem like a pussy. But thing is, I've never been there. I don't know anything about it. So like my aunt moved to like North Carolina or something, and she posts a photo. This was years ago. She posts a photo of a black widow, and she's like, "Look at this weird spider I just found on my desk." Or like it was like literally in her vicinity, and I'm like typing it. I'm like, "That is a venomous spider," you know. But that's the thing. It's like I don't have any idea like what I shouldn't be doing while I'm there. So I'm probably gonna get bit by a rattlesnake or something.
Yeah,
that's what I'm worried about. Or the kids, you know.
Yeah. That's the scary part. You know, you hear a rattling, you might not, you know better.
Yeah.
But the kids, that's
yeah.
the dangerous part of it.
Yeah. And one of the things we're supposed to be doing, because it's literally in the middle of nowhere, is Kevin's stepdad looks for like Indian artifacts, like arrowheads and shit. So one of the things we're going to do is go out there looking for arrowheads.
Yeah.
There's bound to be some critters.
Yeah, for sure. You're going to be traipsing all about.
They'll be traipsing. Yeah.
What part of Texas? Like what quadrant?
It's West Texas.
West Texas.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think of what the biggest town is. There's like there's no big towns there, but the one that's nearest I think is called Big Spring.
Big Spring.
Or maybe it's Big Springs. I don't know. We'll see. But it's like I've never seen that terrain before. Only pictures of it. I don't really know what to expect, but I'm hoping there's going to be tumbleweeds. I'm hoping there's going to be coyotes chasing roadrunners. I'm hoping there's going to be like
cowboys,
like tunnels painted onto big stone outcroppings. Yeah, I honestly don't have any idea. But there's not going to be any light pollution because it's like 2 hours from the nearest grocery store. So I'm looking forward to seeing the night sky.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
2 hours, huh?
2 hours. So we have to like literally stop at the grocery store on our way there to get all the shit that we're gonna need.
Yeah. Texas is a big fucking place,
It
man.
is.
It's a big state.
We have to fly into one of the big airports, and then we have to hop on a small plane and go to a bootleg airport. That's how far away it is.
All right.
One of them bootleg places.
Yeah. Well, be careful around those rattlesnakes, man.
I'll let you know how it goes. It's only gonna be like 4 days.
Yeah.
So
Sounds fun.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Sounds like a good time.
All right. So Kyle says to me, he says, we haven't done a current events episode in a while, and we used to be pretty good about talking about what was being
It's been a while.
talking about what was being talked about.
What's in the news?
A lot of shit going on. What did you have in mind? Where are we going with this, Kyle?
I don't know, man. Just like all the crazy. It's just a bunch of we're in a time of upheaval. You know what I mean? It's a lot of crazy shit going on.
Are you how do you feel about the like it seems to me like there's some success right now from the lefty media to highlight some of the I don't want to say failures, but some of the things that aren't going over well, or maybe look suspicious to the people, like this whole tariff issue is like, you know, when it started, it was like, what the hell's Trump doing here? Not that I was worried about it. I was excited about it because I'd never heard anybody even suggest such a thing. And he was, if you remember, he was saying stuff like, the money we'll bring in from tariffs might allow us to get rid of the income tax. Like that's some seriously cool shit.
Yeah.
And then it just seems like story after story that you're seeing is starting to sort of chip away at the enthusiasm. And I'm starting to feel it, especially like in places like Twitter. I'm starting to feel people getting more defensive. It's like, it's only been a handful of days, but
yeah,
you know, I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
So, I mean, he talked a lot about the tariffs before he really put any on. What was that day? Was it April 2nd?
Yeah,
that everything like really kicked into gear. Before that, it was just a bunch of talk, and it's like it was hard to tell whether he was like serious about using the tariffs as a long-term policy, or if he was just trying to use it to negotiate to getting better trade terms.
Yeah.
And I still really have no idea what he's doing because, you know, as soon as he put them on, he took them back off. Everyone except China. So I just don't really know what, like, it's getting hard for me. What am I trying to say? It's getting hard for me to like mentally justify a lot of it. Not again, it's like I'm not like convinced that what Trump is doing is not going to work or anything. But I also am not convinced that it's going to work either, you know?
Yeah.
And like this stuff where he will put the tariffs on and then take the tariffs off. It does seem like kind of mental gymnastics for me to be like, oh, well, that was his plan the whole time to put them on and take them off. And, you know, I just don't really, I'm not sure how well it's going, you know? I know that they said that the reason they took them off was because, you know, the market was crashing and it had a lot to do with the government bond market.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know. Like they were saying that they thought that China was dumping their U.S. government bonds as like retaliation for it. But other people are saying that they don't think that that's what was going on and that maybe other people were dumping their government bonds. I just don't know what to think about it, man. I like Trump putting those tariffs on. Did that cause that panic naturally, or was that panic like artificial to make the things that Trump was doing look bad? You know?
Yep.
I just don't know. The thing that really irritates me,
I think it's a handful of both. The
thing that irritates me is that a lot of people are talking like they know what's going on, like they have any idea of what the real plan is, and it's very fucking annoying. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure
I do think that there's
how in control Trump is
Yeah.
of all this.
Yeah, or how to what level did he anticipate any of this? Because it could be he didn't at all. Could be.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Now I do think that when there's uncertainty in the markets, it causes people to panic and
Yeah.
it creates volatility, and we definitely saw that recently. But I also think that there's a huge appetite from the left still to see Trump fail.
Oh yeah.
And I think every one of those wealthy donor, Democrat donor type folks are doing. I don't know. I can't say this for certain, but I think I wouldn't put it past them at all to behave with their money and their influence in such a way to try to sabotage this as much as possible. So if people are like, "Oh, okay, there's going to be these tariffs now. We don't know what that's going to do with prices. The market goes crazy. So people sell, and then they see the opportunity." And I just remember, Barack Obama saying, "Never let a good emergency go to waste," or whatever crisis go to waste. And that these people are piling on purpose because they want people to think it's worse than it is. They want people to think Trump is not in control and that, this could go badly or is going badly. So I think that's very likely, man.
Yeah.
These people want Trump to fail so bad that they're perfectly comfortable if the country fails. Perfectly comfortable. They would feel completely justified as long as Trump fails, And I think that's extremely unpatriotic, if not something worse, hoping for the country to fail, because you have a vendetta against a man,
Yep.
Like that's like some immature toddler shit. We're gonna burn it all down.
It's pretty weak.
Pretty weak.
Yeah.
Now I did hear an interesting commentary by one of your favorite fellas, a guy named Benjamin Shapiro. I believe he's one of your favorite fellas.
Love that guy so
and
much.
He said something pretty interesting. He said, we don't know, like to your point, we don't know what Trump's actual plan is, what he's actually doing. But Ben Shapiro said, it sure seems weird that if China was really the target, like of all the countries that we're doing business with, if China is the one that is taking advantage of the United States the most, if that's the problem that we really want to solve and everybody else is just small potatoes, then we should have negotiated, or we could have negotiated directly with China, or even better, we could have negotiated with these other countries so that China is the one person not participating in these, free trade agreements that we're expanding all around them, that kind of thing. But what Ben Shapiro said is like, no, that's not what Trump did. What he did was he put that blanket tariff on every country. And it's like, so what you've done is rather than like strategically picking who your allies and enemies are going to be in that trade war, you've made everyone your enemy. And then you're crossing your fingers that that's not going to send all of these other countries who now have tariffs from us that seem out of the clear blue. That we're going to force them to want to do a bit more business with China because fuck us, right? So it seems like a strategic mistake for Trump to have done a blanket tariff with everybody, even these piddly island countries we do no business with whatsoever, who are poor and can't import shit from us because they don't have the money for it. That kind of thing.
Well, if they're not importing things to us, then a tariff on them isn't going to make any difference anyways. Yeah, I don't know. I think that like it seems from watching the news, it seems like most of the countries in the world have tariffs against us. It seems to me like I've been saying that it feels like America is at war. I know not like kinetic, like actual war, but it feels like America is at war with the entire world right now. It seems like America is saying to the rest of the world, you guys are not going to take advantage of us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have like fair trade terms, and we're going to have we're not going to be just paying for your defense all the time, for you to be talking shit about us constantly. And so I think that the tariffs from on some level that it's like, well, if you're going to tariff us, then we're going to tariff you. Fuck you.
Yeah.
And I think that they're also, to some level, it was, we're going to put tariffs on you and we're going to see if you put reciprocal tariffs back on us. We're just going to like watch and see who is, who is like on our side, who's not fucking around with us. So I think that was part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely heard that, but boy, man, it's like, what a strange thing to do. It's like, I'm going to punch you in the face, and then I'm just going to wait and see whether you punch me back so I know who my real friends are. That's fucking weird. We just punched you in the face. I should expect a punch back, right? I should expect that.
That's what I mean, though. I feel like a lot of these countries should be expecting a punch in the face. Like they've been giving it to us for decades.
I see.
And now, and when we start punching back, now it's a problem all of a sudden. So I think I do think that's a part of it. But again, I have no fucking idea. It's hard to tell.
I don't either. I'm literally thinking this through for the first time while we're talking right now.
It seems like a lot of the officials in Trump's administration don't really know what's going on either. It seems like they're more well-informed than like you or I, but, in some of the interviews that I've seen, like Scott Bessent and some of the other, like, heads of departments and secretaries and stuff, they seem like not really sure of what's going on either.
Well, I know that like tariffs are an important source of income. And I say important because it's like for some countries, especially small countries that have low GDPs and low earnings for their citizens, not a lot of money to spend. That you can't tax those people to get much out of them because they don't make a lot of money. And so like tariffs are one way for these smaller countries to actually get some tax revenue to run their government. And so like for some countries, it's like, this is all we got. We have to. But if we're selling things that we make here to China, as an example, and China places a tariff on U.S. goods, then it costs more for the people to buy American shit. If they buy it, great. There's a part of that tariff that's been now wrapped into the price of that good that is tax revenue for China, I suppose. But then our products are more expensive and so less competitive with the similar products that they're making in China. So like as a good libertarian, which I, still feel sympathetic towards, you would think if I don't charge tariffs and you don't charge tariffs, then we're really on an even playing field. And, then we can actually compete with each other. And that seems like that makes sense to me. The thing that I don't know is I don't know what tariffs we're placing on other countries' goods and what tariffs they're placing on ours. I have no idea what that landscape looks like. So when Trump says something like, the United States has been pushed around in the world markets forever, and people are taking advantage of us for decades. I don't have any way of knowing whether that's true, but it's, it seems like at least partially it's true. I guess I just don't know like how lopsided the trade is. I don't know.
Yeah. So
I don't know how to evaluate any of this.
Yeah.
And if it was a problem for decades, why are we only now talking about it?
That's a good question.
Is it one of those things that just gets swept under the rug because it's like we have other things to worry about and status quo and all the money that's involved? It's all hush hush. Let's keep business as usual. And it took somebody like Trump, an outsider, to come in and say, "What the fuck is that? Was that what's going on?" Because if it is, I want to support that.
Yeah, it's hard to understand why people wouldn't have done anything to fix it. But I mean, I imagine that it goes hand in hand with all of the issues with our economy that we haven't been fixing over the last, over 100 years, since the formation of the Federal Reserve. It seems to me like it's only a matter of time. It seems to me like it was only a matter of time before we ran into some economic trouble. It seems like it's been coming for a long time. We've just been constantly printing more money, lowering interest rates, things like that. to make it more manageable, but eventually that the shit was going to hit the fan. So that's like Trump putting the tariffs on and then taking them off. I almost kind of like, if this is going to happen, which it seems like it's going to, it seems like we're in for some like economic uncomfortableness, uncomfortability. Seems like it's inevitable. I just would let's just fucking do it. Let's just get it over with, you know?
Yeah.
But I really, I have no idea. Like I said, I'm not an economist. I have no idea how these things work. But I do kind of think like let's just get this. Let's just make this happen.
Yeah. Rip off the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Suffer how you have to suffer. Thing is, man, that's not the modus operandi of the political class, man. Like the argument about the Great Depression that as an adult kind of threw me for a loop is the idea that, and this is what libertarian economists say, if the United States government hadn't done all of the things they did to help during the Great Depression, all of the jobs programs, all the government spending that was done at that time, if that wasn't done to prop up the businesses and the people during the Great Depression, that it would have lasted a fraction of the time. And the interference by the federal government in the economy caused the Great Depression to last. I don't know how long it lasted, years, right? Many years. So I'm not sure where I'm going with this now, but I guess I just wonder to what degree the federal government getting involved is a good thing, and whether ripping the Band-Aid off and suffering the pain all at once is the best option. I think it is, but I just don't know like how bad. I'd like to know in advance how bad that's going to be.
Yeah.
How long is it going to last?
Yeah.
Is it going to create a situation where like prices have gone up so much over the last 20 years that it's absolutely fucking ridiculous, man.
It's crazy.
I don't know how much worse that can get. Like it's already pinching people, like middle-class people and underneath that, like to a serious extent.
Yeah.
Groceries and gas. Like I was at a Lowe's today, and there was a washer, like a clothes washer, and it was like a scratch and ding sitting up in the front. Like you can get a good deal on this washer, and it was still $500 for a discounted washer.
Yeah.
Like
it's crazy. Everything's super expensive.
My fucking sandwich that I get at Wendy's, I go from time to time and I get this delicious cheeseburger, is like $7.68 just for the sandwich, dude. Forget fries.
Yeah.
I
know, man.
A tenner isn't enough. You need like a $12 for a value meal.
I just bought a new car and I was like, I have to get it. I have to buy this like now because I know shit's going to be going up here soon. So.
And the thing about that is the used car. I mean, not just new cars too, but the used car market it's already outrageous.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You can get like a 10-year-old car. It's like $30,000. Yeah. What in the fuck, man?
It's crazy. It's a fucked up world we live in, man. I do hope that I will say I do trust Trump. Like I'm not like 100% convinced that what he's doing is going to work, but I trust him. It's like even though I'm nervous about how things are going, and like I said, I wish that he wouldn't have taken them off. Just like let it ride, see how it goes.
Yeah.
It's whatever. I'm let him cook. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, there's I don't know much, but there's some things I know that make me hopeful. Like I'm worried, obviously, that if China doesn't agree to make a deal, even if everyone else does. And it sounds like Canada and the European Union are like not sure how they're gonna respond. They're like leaning towards doing whatever China does.
Yeah.
There are a couple things, like we've heard stories over the last several years about the Chinese real estate market being pretty crazy. Like there's tons and tons of building projects that the Chinese are doing, whole cities where no one lives.
Yeah.
And it's like they control their economy because they're a communist dictatorship. They control their economy so that it's not necessarily a problem because profits aren't a fucking worry for them. It's not capitalism. They're not worried about it. So, but that is a thing like, when was it? Like 2000, when was the housing crisis here? The subprime mortgage thing. It was like
2008.
Was it? Okay. Yeah. Something like that. So that was a pretty terrible time for us, and something on a much larger scale could happen there. Then there's also those stories about how the Chinese are manipulating their currency.
Yeah.
There's been stories like constantly about that, over the years, that again, because they're a communistic dictatorship, that they don't have to do and aren't subject to the same kind of regulations that the rest of the world is. And they can kind of say whatever their money's worth, and we kind of have to fucking take it. So there's like some things that seem like risks. And the other thing is, all of the things that we buy are made in China. And that's been true for a very long time. I don't know what we're building that Chinese people are buying, but I know I can tell you that everything we buy is made in China. I guarantee you this fucking thing is made in China. All these fucking books probably made in China. So, these computers, all of it, I'm sure. So if we stopped buying Chinese things because of this tariff situation, if the cost of Chinese goods is now higher than European made or Indian or made or whatever, Indonesia, like there's like places where there's things being made. Is that going to hurt the Chinese more? Right? If we just stop buying all this Chinese shit, is that going to hurt them more than it will hurt us? Because on the surface, it seems like that has to be the case, because I don't know a damn thing that Chinese people buy from us except for Buicks. Buick's like the luxury car there, which is weird.
I think that they buy American cars in general. And they have like weird models that we don't have over here. It's like they have like a Ford car that you've never seen before.
It's interesting. Yeah.
So I think that we do sell some automobiles. I know a big, one of the big things was entertainment.
Hollywood. Yeah.
But they shut that down. They said that they're not taking it anymore. And I think it would be great if this like tariff war with China ends up like killing Hollywood, because Hollywood made tons of money off the Chinese market.
Yeah.
Like more than ours even.
Yeah.
So man, I think it would be great if Hollywood died because of this.
I would be totally fine.
Yeah.
I think that there are people that will continue to make movies, but I'm just thinking about like John Cena apologizing to the Chinese about something he said about Taiwan or something. And like the basketball players doing the same thing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like I think there would be more diversity in media and film and stuff if we weren't worried about offending the Chinese or the liberals. Like imagine if we weren't worried about that, what kind of art we would be able to make again in this country.
Yeah. I will say that a lot of what China doesn't want in their movies, I'm like pretty on board with. Like, I think, and this, this ties back into the episodes that I did with Proxenos.
Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of the ideals that they put in their movies. Speaking of, that reminds me, I've actually, I got a free trial to Apple TV Plus.
Nice.
And I've been watching a show that you recommended.
Which one?
Shrinking.
Oh yeah, dude.
I hate it so much.
Really? Tell me why. Tell me why.
Because of like all of that, like we were just talking about the things that they push in Chinese. It's like, it's the biggest chick show I've ever seen in my life. The entire show is like basically about men suck. Like honestly, the whole fucking thing.
I'm like trying to remember.
So the show is about a guy and his daughter. The wife and mother died in a car accident. Yeah. He's a psychologist, and he starts doing all these like crazy things with his patients, like new radical like ways of treating them. Okay, and there's a bunch of characters, and they're all fucking up. They're all like making mistakes and hurting each other's feelings all the time, the men and the women. But one thing I've noticed is that when the women. Okay, so when the men make a mistake, they just did something stupid. They did something really stupid, and they're being hurtful, and they're dickheads, and they apologize, and they move forward. When the women make a mistake, they did do something bad, but they did something bad because the men made them do something bad.
Yeah, I'd have to see the examples.
Every single fucking time. all of the guys are fucking retarded. All the like every man in the show is fucking retarded.
Except for Harrison Ford's pretty good.
Yeah, Harris. I mean, yeah, but he's just like, I don't know, just like that grumpy all the time. It just like gets kind of boring.
Yeah.
So there are definitely things about the show that I do like, and mostly it's like Jason Segel scenes because Jason Segel's so funny.
Yeah.
Him and Paul Rudd both do this like awkward thing very well. You know, it's like they'll have a scene and it's just like very extremely awkward, and it's just very funny. Yeah, no, just like not a fan at all. I mean, I shouldn't say not a fan at all because I watched the entire 2 seasons of it.
Yeah.
And like I said, there were parts of it that I liked, but overall, yeah, just man, it really like irritates the shit out of me.
Did you watch the sci-fi one?
Severance? No,
not Severance, but that
Silo. No, I haven't watched it.
Severance was good. It takes a couple of seasons. Maybe it's like after the first season for it start to unwind enough where you're like, okay, this is getting weird, and it starts getting super interesting. Like I was almost ready to turn that shit off, but Silo I liked from the very beginning. That's a good show. You should watch that.
Yeah, I think I started watching maybe one episode of it, and I just like wasn't that into it at the moment.
Yeah.
So, as far as Severance goes, I don't think I'm gonna watch it. Maybe eventually, but
all right, if you're not gonna watch it, then I'll tell you about it.
I heard that it's like one of those shows where like every episode ends where like, oh god, oh shit, you know, and like nothing ever really comes.
Yeah,
there's really no like all of the crazy stuff that happens never develops into any kind of like real story. It's just like, oh shit, something else crazy happened, you know?
Yeah, I think that's less true than it is for a show like Lost, where there was like a ton of crazy shit happening and all the loose ends, like 90% of the loose ends never get answered.
Yeah.
This one I think wraps up the story well, but in the beginning, like the first season, I think there's things like that where you're a little bit lost. And like I said, I was ready to turn it off, but the idea, spoiler alert, we can talk about Severance if you haven't seen it. But the idea is that they've created this technology where you can sever your brain so that your consciousness is separate while you're working from when you're off working. So they get on the elevator to leave at the end of the day, and on the way up the elevator, something happens, and they open up their eyes, and they're themselves again. They have no idea what they were doing all day at work, right there. So they found a way to take work out of their lives because they don't remember it. They're a different person while they're working. But the unintended consequence of this is that the people, while they're at work, are fucking slaves that don't have any memories of any time out of their day when they're not at work, right? When they get on the elevator and they sever back into their normal person, then they wake up at work again. They're always at work. Wow. They wake up, they're always at work. And they have to do all this weird shit at work to like keep these people from going crazy. They have to like throw little parties for them. They treat them like kids. They like, you know, give them like rewards and shit. And there's all these weird things happening. Like, there's this like psychologist lady who comes in and talks to the people because they need someone to talk to. These people are like literally work slaves, and the work they're doing is weird. Like you have no fucking idea what it means. And then you start finding out that this place where they work, where they're severed, is actually some kind of like church or cult. And you never quite understand what the fuck is going on with this church or cult. But it's worth it if you can watch the whole thing. If you can get through the first season, I think it's
how many seasons are there?
I think it's 2.
2.
Yeah.
Probably not. We'll see.
So like they literally have to figure out like we need to tell people that we're slaves in here. How do the moment I leave the building, I'm not myself anymore and don't have any memories of being a slave. So they had to figure out a way to orchestrate getting someone out while they were still their severed personality to tell the world about this. It's intense, man. There's some intense parts.
So these people go into work where they're slaves, and then they come out of work and they do have like a separate life. Yeah,
like a normal life. Like they make a decision, like I'm going to have this severance procedure done so that I don't have to work anymore. basically. I'm going to psychologically separate myself from the tedious work, and I'm just going to, all of my conscious hours are going to be spending the money I've earned. You know,
Yeah.
I never have to be that guy that's slaving.
Would you want to do that?
No, man, I don't think so. I mean, no.
Even if it, what if you weren't like a slave? What if it was just like the conditions of your work now, but you didn't have to like consciously be there? That's like what I want to know is when these people have the severance thing and they go into their slave job, like what happens? Like where is their mind?
It's weird. It's like they're still themselves. They just don't have any memories of their life outside of work. They know their name and they know the people that are there. They just don't have they don't have access to any of their memories. It's interesting, man. Like a lot of these psychological thrillers and psychological shows, I dig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm less and less into that kind of stuff. I don't know. I just, it just seems not interesting to me for some reason. I don't know. Maybe not that genre in general, but just that show. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I watched Ted Lasso too.
Oh yeah.
I felt
You watched all of it?
all three.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it got progressively worse.
Yeah, it did.
So I feel the same way about Ted Lasso as I do about Shrinking, but I like Ted Lasso considerably more than I like Shrinking.
It's hard to not to like Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah, Jason Sudeikis is great, although I think he's probably a homo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just because like he was like a big part of that show, and that show was gay. Like, there's like I was saying, I feel the same way about it as I do about Shrinking. That there's a bunch of stuff about Ted Lasso that I fucking hated, that I just thought was like stupid woke bullshit.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of stuff that I did like, and there was a lot more stuff that I did like in Ted Lasso than there was in Shrinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a lot of like girl boss shit.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of like women. So there's this thing with trans, especially like men who are pretending to be women, where it's like they're doing a caricature. You know, it's like it's a man pretending to be what he thinks a woman is, you know? And a lot of time it's like really cringe and weird. Think about that guy who did the Bud Light thing.
Oh yeah.
Mulvaney.
Yeah.
Dylan Mulvaney. Like you watch that and it's like, and you notice that a lot of these guys who do it, they're not pretending to be grown women. They're pretending to be like teenage girls, you know? It's just fucking weird. Why was I talking about that?
I don't know. Where you going with the Mulvaney remark?
Oh, no. So in Ted Lasso, like a lot of the women in the show, like they're very girl bossy, but they also like want to act like men. It's like they think that, I don't know, there's just something about that like girl boss attitude that like makes women want to act like men.
Yeah.
And there's this thing, it's not like every single time, but there's this thing that the women will do like when they see each other, and you know, it's set in England. So
yeah,
like pretty much every time one of the women like walk up to one of the other ones in the street, she's like, "Oi, look at this rusty bucket of fucking nails over." It's like, what? It's like, do men just insult each other every time they see their friends in public?
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. It just seemed very goofy. But it was very good.
Do you think that the girl boss thing? Because I'm picturing the blonde lady from the show.
I like her.
Yeah. Remember that episode where she bangs the dude in Holland or whatever on the boat?
Yeah. They didn't have sex at that point.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But anyway, so I get your point. Right? She's like, not only is she this high-powered executive person, which historically that would be a man, but more so, you're in a male-dominated field because we're talking about football.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is a lady who runs a football team that should be a man historically, right? So not only is she the boss and the executive, but she's also, you know, running this football league. And I guess what I'm saying is, does it come across as like cosplay?
I don't know if it comes off as cosplay, but I just think it's like these women, when they get to those kind of positions, they think it's like they cry for equality. Then they get to that position and then they want a bunch of special treatment. It's like, do you think that men who are Fortune 500 company CEOs and like people who are the owners of sports teams, do you think that they're like really nice to each other and like helping each other out all the time?
No, they're cutthroat.
No, they're competing with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, what? So like you, this woman, get to this position where you're in that situation and you want everyone to be nice to you, and no, that's not how it works, and it doesn't work that way just because you're a woman. And honestly, you might not think this is fair, but this is just the nature of reality. It probably is going to be worse for you as a woman, because I don't want to lose to a woman.
Yeah.
And like, maybe that's wrong. Maybe that is wrong, but it's like that again, that is the nature of reality. And like, if you, even if you think it's wrong, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. It's tough to complain. It's tough to complain if you're I don't know what is like a manager, or what is her title? She's like, she owns the team.
Oh, yeah, owner.
She's an owner. I don't know where I was going with that, but just the idea that you would expect to be in that field. That's that's like locker room talk. It's like the most manly environment ever. And you want to insert yourself into that position. And I don't know, man, like I brought up cosplay because I do think that one of the worst things that society has ever done to women is to convince them that to convince them that the roles that women have historically filled in our society and culture are lesser than the roles that men have historically served. We've convinced them that if they don't do what a man does, they're not as good as a man. And that is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. And I'm not saying that there aren't women that can do that. Like I told you this story before, I'm sure, but when I was in the hospital when my daughter was being born, and it was time to cut the cord, and I was just like, no thanks, like I'm good. And the doctor, she just like gave me this stern look, and she was like, you don't have a choice, man, like you got to do this. And I'm like, yes ma'am. And it was like, the point is that she was in this position of authority, and I'm grateful that she put the pressure on me and that I did that. But I think that interaction I had with her is far more likely to have been a man than a woman making me feel that way. Like this figure of authority, and whose wisdom I was taking strictly on authority. And I'm glad that I did. She was right. But the point is, in that position, the woman doctor was just as good as a man doctor, serving that role and having that authority and making that impression on me. It was all very perfect. It was perfect. I wish I would remember her name. I would shout her out. Grateful for that. So I think women can do those things, but I think by and large, they don't want to, and they're not as equipped to as men are in general when we're talking about these historical roles that men have filled.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not saying I don't think women should have the opportunity to do that. I just think we shouldn't have tried to convince every woman that they should be that.
Yeah.
Now we're just emptying. Like, I saw this video of this woman. It went viral. You tell me if you saw it. She was basically ranting into the camera about how disproportional the amount of work raising a family is for the woman. The woman is burdened with so much more of the responsibilities. And listen, she's not wrong. I agree. In my experience, there's a lot of things that my wife does that I don't do. And if I had to do them, I either wouldn't or wouldn't do them as well. It's just a fact. But she was saying, like, I don't do my husband's laundry because he's a big boy. He can do his own laundry.
Yeah.
I go down, I do my laundry, I do the kids' laundry, and I leave his laundry. He can do his laundry. And every day he makes dinner for the family. And she's like at wit's end, because when she gets home from work, he asks her, honey, what would you like for dinner? because now she has to choose. Why doesn't he just know? Why doesn't he just make the dinner? Like, bitch, he's cooking you dinner every fucking night, and his great sin is to ask you what you would like to eat.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm saying all this, but go ahead.
I don't know, man. I feel like guys who get themselves into a situation like that, it's like you let that happen. You know what I mean? You either could have and should have avoided that in the first place,
Yeah.
or you let it get to that position by just like being kind of a bitch. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know.
I have absolutely zero respect for that woman, and maybe I'm sure there's a lot of people that would disagree with me. She went viral because everyone was agreeing with her. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, and it's just absolute. It was I saw it on Matt Walsh was talking about it. That's where I saw it, and of course he was not complimentary of this lady.
Yeah.
But this is just all tied into like the expectations that women have when the culture and the society has created this weird dynamic where it's not okay for women to be women and men are being forced to be women. It's weird. Men are being forced to take on the roles of women, toxic masculinity and all of that. And women are being told that they should usurp men's roles. It's fucking weird. Why in the world are we topsy-turvying this shit? We have a evolutionary history of hundreds of thousands of years that make men men and women women for a fucking reason, you know? And now we're going to say, evolution has created the male form that does certain things well. And what we're going to do in our infinite wisdom is swap the roles so that the woman who doesn't have 200,000 years of evolution creating her to be this thing mentally and physically, we're going to swap them so that we're completely ill-equipped to do each other's jobs. It's fucking retarded, dude.
Yeah.
And we just think we're noble because of it.
It doesn't make any sense for sure.
Everything is going to be harder. Everything is harder because of it. Everything is harder because of it.
Yep. Like literally everything. You like things that are not that important are more difficult. Just like small day-to-day things are more difficult because of this stupid kind of shit. But also like really important things like having a family, like raising a family on one income so that another person, one of the other parents, can stay and take care of the family.
Yep.
It's like you can't do that anymore. So I want to have kids, but I'm like afraid of how it's going to go down because I don't want to have a kid with a woman who works and doesn't want to give up her career, because I don't want to have a kid and have him in daycare for 8-9 hours a day. Like I would rather not have kids than do that.
Yep.
So
it's also an interesting situation that in the West, more or less, I'm sure there's exceptions, it is completely impossible to afford to live on a single income. So if you have a family, good luck. Look at every single mother. Every single mother is poor. Every fucking one of them. It's impossible to live on a single salary. So women have been, and this is like a weird conspiracy theory that it's not good news to you, but it's kind of like something that I never really considered. Is that when like libertarians and anarchists and shit will say that that people are tax cattle, and the idea here is if 50% of the population is men, and for 100 years of the United States existence, the men would work and they would be taxed, and the women didn't have to work because the men made enough money to take care of the family. Well, at some point, the IRS, the government, decided, what would be better than to be taxing 50% of the population? Taxing all of them. Let's encourage women to get into the workplace. Nay, let's make it such where they have to, or you can't afford to live. And then we can tax 100%. We could double the tax revenue.
I don't think that they made it. I think that things becoming more expensive was a result of women going into the workplace. Because like, if you have a set amount of labor and then you overnight you double that amount of labor, wages go down.
Yeah,
you know,
they do.
So that's a big part of it. And then, I mean, I'm sure that stuff was already starting to get expensive at that point, but it definitely, like I said, that is exactly what I don't want to do. Sending a little poor baby off to be raised by, I mean, I've seen fucking nightmare videos of these these people who don't give a fuck about the babies that they're raising. You get like a poor little baby who's, upset because it's not with its mom and it's crying and it won't stop crying. And this fucking terrible, illegal immigrant, most likely working at this place, is like frustrated with hearing the baby cry. So it like suffocates the baby with a fucking pillow.
Yeah. Or shakes him, or smacks
it's
him.
A fucking nightmare, man.
I've seen those videos. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel like something's got to happen.
Boy, I have to say, man, like there's such a thing as like justifiable homicide and stuff like that. And
yeah.
If I saw a video of a nanny repeatedly slapping my fucking 3-year-old daughter in the face, I would choke the life out of her. I can't, even if I didn't catch it, if it wasn't like a heat of the moment thing, if I saw that video, justice is not good enough. Like the legal system is not expeditious enough. Like I'm getting pissed off right now thinking about it. Like it.
Yep.
How dare you?
That's the world we live in with kids and old people,
Absolutely.
God. Send all these kids and old people to get taken care of by people who hate them because they like, I mean, I have shitty jobs. I have shitty days at my job too, but I just don't have like living people that I'm taking care of that I can get like shitty with. If I'm pissed off and I take the piece of metal that I'm working with and like slam it on the table, it's not really that big of a deal,
Yeah.
But when it's an old man that pisses you off and you decide to slam his head into a table, that's different.
Boy.
And that kind of shit happens a lot.
I have to say, like, you brought up Proximos earlier, and he drives me mad, like with his social media posts.
Yeah, I don't fuck with that dude anymore.
Proximos wants the United States to fail.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I like. He's actively rooting against it. Mm-hmm. He wants. I don't know why that dude just doesn't move to fucking China.
Yeah,
move to China, man.
Get the fuck out.
Just go.
And he's not even American. He's a Canadian.
Oh, okay. Well, even worse.
Yeah.
Where am I going with this? Oh, so Proximos, he's in a lot of ways he's terrible, but he's always pointing out the ways in which China is outpacing the United States, or China's doing things that are good that we can't or won't do. It's like these giant building projects and these bullet trains and all the stuff that the Chinese are doing, but also cultural things. Like he's constantly harping on the degeneracy of the Western culture, and he's not usually all that wrong when he does it. And the example that you just brought up, I think, it illustrates it better than any. It's like in this country, we outsource the care of the most precious people, our babies and our elders. And we outsource the care to people that are mistreating them. We don't pay them shit, and everyone just seems to be happy with that. I don't know what it's like in China, but that is just the kind of thing that Proximos would point to and say, "You see what I mean? Yeah. China's building bullet trains, and what are you doing in the United States? You're, letting Colombian nannies beat up your babies. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily my disagreement with the content of what Proximos says that makes me not like Proximos anymore. I wouldn't even say that I don't like him anymore. He's fine. He's just fucking annoying. And like I said, it's not that I disagree with him on a ton of stuff. I don't want America to fail. I would much prefer that America continues forever. And even if it's bad, like I don't want my country to fail.
No.
I just don't. That's not ideal for me. Now there is there's definitely some aspect of America that I would like to destroy very much, and I'm hoping that we're working towards that. But to get kind of back to the like current event kind of stuff, I don't really. I'm not 100% sure that we are working towards it, to be honest with you. I told you that I'm like happy to let Trump work, but I'm not sure how this is going, to be honest with you.
I think it's too soon. As far as the tariff stuffs go, I think it's premature.
Yeah, I just mean all of it, though. Honestly, like the Epstein stuff was like a big problem for me. It's like,
that's very disappointing.
Understand what the fuck is going on with that. The fact that like Doge has been finding all of this, waste, fraud, and abuse, but like what's happening with it? Like, is anyone getting in trouble? Are we pressing charges on anyone?
Yeah.
If we're finding fraud, if people have been committing fraud, then people should be going to prison.
Right. What happened with that remark Musk made about changing the direction of their investigation to look at how all these congressmen made so much money? Like, well, I haven't heard a peep about that. Yeah. What's going on with that?
Yep. Then there's all the stuff with like the spending bills and, like we're not really cutting spending that much. We're going to, which is what they always say. It's like, it's always, we're going to, we need to pass this one, but after this one, we're going to, we're really going to get,
yeah.
And then you have like people who are like common sense about that sort of thing. Like Thomas Massey, who are like, this is a bad idea. And Trump is like going after them. And then you have, did you watch any of that Dave Smith, Douglas Murray?
I wanted to talk about that. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so that was like really embarrassing. And then like the day afterwards, Trump is tweeting something out in support of Douglas Murray's book. I mean, I don't think that Trump watched that debate or anything like that, but yeah.
Did you watch the whole thing?
No, I watched like an hour and a half of it.
And that was enough for you?
Yeah, it was definitely.
So did it seem one-sided, like Dave Smith was mopping the floor with him, or did it seem to you like Douglas Murray was like elusive, like he wasn't most of what he said was like the same few things over and over and over again?
Yeah. I mean,
I like Douglas Murray. I think he's an eloquent speaker. I like a lot of the shit a lot of speeches that I've seen him do. And I wanted to like him. I wanted that to be a better conversation.
Douglas Murray is one of those people like Ben Shapiro to me. It's like he says a bunch of stuff that I can agree with fine enough, but he always comes back to issues that I don't agree with him on are very important issues to me, and his opinions are fucking terrible on them.
Yeah.
A case in point, like what he went on to talk to Rogan about. And I mean, honestly, I really don't care about either side. I am not a fan of Israel, but I don't fucking care about Palestine either. I don't care.
Do you remember when you said what was it? I think I'm thinking of the time that it was when Rogan said. You remember when Rogan said the moment that he realized Obama was full of shit, and really what he meant by that was the moment he realized the Democrats were full of shit was when Obama said he was repeating the good people on both sides or the Russian, whatever one of those hoaxes during this past presidential campaign.
Are you talking about Biden?
No, Obama.
Oh, Obama.
Because Joe Rogan had such esteem for Obama. He thought Obama was like the most presidential
statesman.
Yeah, he was super into that. But then when Obama was campaigning for Kamala at the end, trying to get the numbers up, and he starts repeating it, and Joe's like, "This is clear. Everybody knows this is bullshit, and you're going out there and saying it like it's true to everybody."
Yeah.
So I had that moment with Douglas Murray on that podcast when he was talking about Martyr Made.
Yeah.
I'm like, this dude has not listened to it.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't have to listen to it.
It's fucking hilarious because he was talking about Douglas Murray. Or I'm sorry, Douglas Murray's talking about Daryl Cooper from Martyr Made. And Joe's like, well, have you listened to it? He was like, oh, I don't have to listen to it. Yeah. And then Dave Smith's talking about Palestine and Israel, and Douglas Murray's like, have you ever been there? It's like, well, you haven't fucking listened to Martyr Made. You don't know what his opinions are, you know? Dude, that whole debate was so ridiculous. It was basically Douglas Murray. Like, I will admit that there's because a lot of the time it's Jon Stewart, it's Stephen Colbert, it's Jimmy Kimmel, it's all these fucking comedians. They've got all these opinions about politics, but when someone like really holds their feet to the, well, I'm just a comedian, you know, it's like they do that shit all the time.
Yeah, they do.
But Dave Smith is not those guys. Like Dave Smith is an extremely well-informed person. I would put Dave Smith up against like, and Dave Smith debates like really well-informed people all the time. So yeah, I wouldn't say that Dave really does that. I do think that Joe was probably the worst part of that.
Really?
Yeah, Joe was annoying the shit out of me. Joe's a terrible moderator. And Joe also was saying, at one point he was saying that Daryl doesn't really believe that Winston Churchill was like not really that great. And that is not true. Like Daryl Cooper 100% believes that that Winston Churchill is like an overrated leader and that he was like problematic in World War II and that things could have gone a lot better if it wasn't for Winston Churchill. He 100% does believe that. And then in that podcast, Roger's like, oh, he doesn't really believe that. He's just teasing Jocko because Jocko, you know, it's like, Joe, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, would you say the same? Would Joe say the same thing about Tucker Carlson saying that about, because like when Tucker Carlson was on Piers Morgan, he was very, very explicit in the fact that he thinks that Winston Churchill was a problem in World War II and not the, the war hero that he's made out to be.
Yeah.
And I think that Daryl is on the same page as Tucker, and like Joe's just like talking out of his ass. Like,
So I'll say a word in defense of Douglas Murray only because he's an Englishman, and Winston Churchill is like, it's like Douglas MacArthur. It's like, you know, a legendary general or a legendary leader, wartime leader or whatever. That's somebody that they cherish as like a national icon. And when you start saying bad, it would be like somebody debating me about telling me about how terrible George Washington is. It's like, I'm going to get a little defensive. And so I would expect Douglas Murray or any Englishman to instinctively defend Winston Churchill.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely know what you mean. But I also think that Douglas Murray like holds himself up as like an academic and like well-read, and it's like, okay, well, you don't know any of the truth about World War II. You know, like you don't know. Okay, so you mentioned George Washington.
Yeah.
Like I still love George Washington. Don't get me wrong. You know, like I understand that it was a different time and things like that, but there's some criticisms that you can make of George Washington.
Sure.
You know, like there's plenty of criticisms that you can make of George Washington. Valid criticisms, you know? So yeah, I just think that that's a fucking stupid, like if somebody did that to me and they were like, yeah, well, George Washington had slaves and listed off all of the verifiably bad things about George Washington. Yeah. I'm like, no. It's like, well, you're denying history. You're denying facts.
I guess what you would deny is that those things undermine the importance that he had to the country and to the, you know, to the future that was made off of it. Like you can't say call George Washington or Thomas Jefferson racist because they have slaves, and somehow that undermines their huge impact as founding fathers. It's just people try to do that, but they're fucking stupid. You can't do that. You can't do that. It reminds me of that joke.
Go ahead.
If you build 1,000 bridges, you suck one dick. Yeah. You know that one? Yeah.
You're a dick sucker.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a bridge builder.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. But like imagine like the Revolutionary War story and all the founding fathers, this is a pretty positive story. It worked out pretty good for them, you know? And I think that a lot of people would say that World War II worked out for England too, but I think if you like really look into World War II, that's not as obvious. You know, like you think that they were on the winning side, so it worked out pretty well for them. But if you like really look into how things panned out after World War II in England, it's pretty rough. I mean, they were rationing food till the middle of the 50s.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. See, I don't actually know very much about Winston Churchill. So this is like I'm in over my head already.
Yeah.
I don't know what the criticisms are. Like, does anything specific come to mind about whatever Daryl Cooper said or Tucker about like the criticisms of Winston Churchill?
I just think that there was no real reason. So it's a hard thing to talk about because the other opposing force in this conflict is Hitler, so people are very sensitive about it.
They are, yeah.
But I just think that it could have been avoided, and it probably should have been avoided, and especially by I don't think America should have joined the either of the world wars. But yeah, I mean, and then there's like a lot of questions about the motivations for why we got in. Well, we not we Great Britain, the United Kingdom, why they got involved. That has to do with like bankers and
jewelers and bankers,
bankers and things like that.
I do want to say my criticism of the Dave Smith Douglas Murray debate on Rogan, I think illustrates that conversation illustrates really well how my disfavor of the format. I would far rather prefer a conversation to a debate.
Yes, see, that's crazy to me because I feel like that was like closer to a conversation. I feel like that was about as close to a conversation where two people disagree that you could possibly have.
See, I think what sticks out to me is what's most memorable about what Douglas Murray said were a couple of like jabs and jokes. And there's this schoolyard thing that comes to my mind. It happened to me several times where you're young, you're getting made fun of or something, and there's attention drawn to you, and all these fucking people just pile on and point and laugh, and it's like you're losing the argument because everyone's pointing and laughing. All these idiots who haven't listened just heard the funny thing he said, and everyone piles on you, and that's to me it seemed like Douglas's only highlights, because the rest of it was fucking boring. It was him constantly. There was that elitist remark about harping on the fact that, like you said, that Dave Smith's never been to Israel, or that he's not a scholar, so he shouldn't have anything to say about it. And then it's just like those same things over and over again. They're not memorable.
Yeah.
But what was memorable is when he said about Dave Smith being a libertarian, and that's like the homosexuality, or what is it, bisexuality of politics. And then Joe gets a good laugh. That's what you remember. And so I think that debates are all about those moments.
Yeah.
And they're not about the conversation. They're about those moments. How many moments? How many ticks did you get in the box?
Yeah.
Whoever gets the most ticks wins, and that's not necessarily true.
I don't know, man. I guess I know what you mean, but like the perception, like the overwhelming perception of the debate is not that Douglas Murray won. So like, even though he landed, like,
he didn't win, right? It was Dave Smith.
Up. Yeah. So yeah, it's like you think that like everyone remembers that one, the burn about Dave Smith being bisexual, but like nobody sees it that way. Like everybody sees that Douglas Murray got fucking dismantled.
Yeah. He also didn't really make any arguments that at least that weren't memorable.
Yeah, like his entire argument was that Joe Rogan was having too many people from one side of the issue on, and that he needs to be having experts on, and that he was like, oh no, it's fine to have people who aren't experts on, but it's fine to have people who aren't expert. Oh, no. It's like, it's fine for people who are not experts to have opinions, but they shouldn't talk about them publicly.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
And if they do, then, they were talking about Daryl Cooper not wanting to debate some historian. It's like, well, Daryl Cooper is not really that kind of a person. And these experts have had it's like the same thing that happens with Graham Hancock. It's like these experts won't debate. It's like they'll debate this. Somebody will offer to debate Daryl Cooper because they like listen to his podcast or him on Joe, and they can tell by his demeanor that he's not like an aggressive kind of, he's not like Andrew Wilson from The Crucible, you know, he's not like Nick Fuentes. Whereas like these experts won't debate Candace Owens. They won't debate Nick Fuentes. They won't debate Andrew Wilson because Andrew would fuck them up. You know, it's like, and like, you may not even agree with Andrew. You may think that Andrew's completely wrong, but Andrew's a good debater and he'll fuck them up, you know? Same with Nick Fuentes.
That is my criticism of the debate format. What you just said, that even if Andrew Wilson has got the weaker argument and it can't,
that's not what I said.
Can't win the argument on the facts.
That's not what I said.
A skilled debater can still win the debate.
I said, even if you don't agree with Andrew.
Well, would you agree with the statement I just made that if somebody who like Andrew Wilson, who's a skilled debater, even if he doesn't believe the argument he's making, he's doing it for fun. If he's arguing a position that's wrong or that he doesn't believe, that he can still win a debate against someone else that's in the right or whatever. I think I've seen him do it. It's fucking possible, and that is a problem. That is like the problem with democracy, like one of the problems with democracy.
Yeah. That
somebody can be a magnetic speaker. Like this is we talked about Churchill and Hitler. One of the things that is talked about charismatic figures like Hitler is that they can rally up a great deal of support because of their personality. And even if I don't want to get into a debate about whether Hitler was right or wrong or any of that, but you know, you can persuade people even if you're wrong. And the debate format, I think, it allows that to happen far more than a long form conversation would, where people have the time to go back and forth, who in good faith want to understand what the other person is where they're coming from and hash it out. That's what I love about long form podcasts, and you just don't get that into debates.
Yeah, but you also don't, in the long form kind of conversations you're talking about, you really don't get people who disagree. Like most of the time when you have those kind of things, it's like you have somebody who knows a lot about one thing and somebody who doesn't, and that person is like asking questions. The other person's giving like a lecture, basically.
Sure. Yeah.
It's not a debate. It's not, and it's not even like a conversation, like one of these conversations that you're talking about where two people disagree. That kind of stuff doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And I do think, I know, like, obviously, if a person who's right about a topic debates somebody who is a much better debater than they are, they can lose even if they are right. But I don't think that means that debate is not valuable. I just think that
it's valuable.
I think that
it's
like
valuable.
I think that people need to learn to debate better. You know, it's like it's like anybody on any given day could potentially lose a debate, you know?
Yeah. Listen, I think it is valuable to know how to speak to people, how to inspire people, how to make your point powerful. All that stuff is valuable. I agree. And there's a time and a place when that is important. If I'm a general on the battlefield, I need to rally my troops and get people inspired to be able to speak to them in a way that is effective.
That's not debate, though.
Well, this is the same type of skills that you would practice in a debate. I think that's super valuable. I guess my problem is that debate seems to be like win at all. Like the idea is to win whatever the cost. That's what you're doing when you're debating. You're trying to win. In a conversation, you're not trying to win, you know? But I do agree with you. You don't see people who are in two opposite camps having a long form conversation very often. We should. I think I
think it would devolve into a debate.
I think it would be difficult for people not to take it personally in that situation. But that's also important. You know, it's like learn how to work through that, because you know the world would be better if people could talk through their disagreements and talk through their little emotional outbursts. Like, get over yourself, be an adult, you know? Yeah, your feelings are hurt. Keep talking. Maybe ask yourself why your feelings are hurt. Ask the person you're talking to. Talk that shit out. Like, hey, you know what you just said? Fucking, it something erupted in me when you said it. Then you might say, well, why? What specifically? I haven't thought about that. Then you're having a real fucking conversation. You're never going to have that in a debate. And if you do, it's a gotcha moment. I fucking hate that. It's all about the gotcha moment.
I don't know, man.
Did you see the thing about Bill Maher going to see Trump and then talking about it on the show?
Yeah, I didn't watch any. I didn't like actually take any of it in. I just saw like a clip or that I didn't even watch. I just saw like the thumbnail.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot. Like probably what you read in the thumbnail was the important stuff. But it's interesting. Bill Maher is an interesting guy because lately he's been one of the only liberal voices that have been like even like remotely reasonable. Like he's a lefty. Everyone knows and respects him as a lefty. And he's been that way for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying on his show to a national audience of lefties, why are we doing this? Why is it that we have to be at each other's throats like we have been? Why is it that I can't go fucking have a conversation with the president? So that's what he did. And it was Kid Rock who facilitated that. He was the mutual friend, which is fucking strange, man.
Yeah.
He met like imagining Kid Rock hanging out with Trump is weird, but imagining Kid Rock and Bill Maher hanging out is also weird, man. Like I don't know. And the three of them together, which is what the case was at the White House. Fucking President Trump in the Oval Office with Bill Maher and Kid Rock. What the fuck, man?
Pretty crazy.
But it is weird to see this like establishment lefty. I don't know a lefty who's not a politician, who's just like a talking head that has more clout and respect among liberals than Bill Maher, like a young and old. I don't know who else you could point to and say, that somebody fits that bill more than Bill Maher. And he was saying, I don't always agree with everything the president says, but I don't want him to fail. And I don't know why all the Democrats are so viciously hateful towards him and Republicans and conservatives with like no gray area at all. And it's similar on the other side as well. And he's like, that's unsustainable. Like, why are we doing this? So he's like, not only am I going to accept this invitation to go have dinner with the president, but then I'm going to come and I'm going to tell you exactly what happened to and he said to his audience, like, all of this stuff that you see and hate about Trump, his public persona, I didn't see that when I was with him face to face. He was a normal guy. And he told all of his audience that. It's like, why are you being hateful? This isn't helpful. And we have to get away from it. So I don't know, man, that's heartening to me. I don't see any other liberals doing it, but it's heartening to me.
Yeah.
It's like the first domino.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully more of that happens. I don't know if I think that it will. They definitely seem pretty committed to hating Trump,
Sure do.
Most of them, the vast majority.
Yeah. And they do still seem to think it's a winning strategy. And a month ago, I think most people would the consensus would be not a winning strategy, but they've stuck to their guns. This, Trump derangement syndrome, they've stuck to that, continued all the way through to today, pushing that. And now they're starting to be chinks in the armor that are starting to, the Thomas Massey thing you brought up, that was the first one. That was the first moment where people like you and I were like, no, I'm not I'm like a cheerleader for everything Trump's doing. And then that happened. And you're like, wait a minute. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
So you're starting to see more of those little chinks now. And I don't want to put too much energy into that because I'm hoping that this, like I said, it's super premature. This whole tariff thing has just been a handful of days. We're panicking. It's been fucking 10 days. We're panicking like the world is on fire,
It has been pretty crazy. I mean,
what's been crazy? There was a couple of 1,000-point drop in the market, followed by a 2,600-point gain in the market.
The drop that happened, if it would have stayed like that, it would have been bad. I mean, like 100%. if it would have stayed the way that it was on the drop for the rest of the time that Trump's in office, he would not have won president. I mean,
True.
Whoever the Republican nominee is would not have won the next one.
Listen, I don't know what the percentage drop was the first day. I think it was like when the 2,600 point upswing happened, when that rebound happened. I thought I saw that was like 11% on the Dow. Now, to give you some perspective, that's huge for a single day. That's like huge.
I think it might have been the biggest day of all time.
I think so. Yeah. 11%, like a good year of market performance is 8%.
Yeah.
So 11% in one day is more than a year's worth of earnings like that. And we lost that, a year's worth of earnings like that. And then we made a year's worth of earnings like that in a day. Bing, bing, bang, So that's bad. I agree with you. But the idea that we would have an 11% loss every day for the next, 4 years, impossible. It would never happen. It didn't happen during the Great Depression. It wouldn't happen.
What do you mean?
We had let's say we had an 11% drop in the Dow and everybody's panicking and selling off and we see the snowball effect of the markets tumbling. I think it is completely unrealistic to think we would have an 11% loss day after day after day after day.
Yeah, but you don't have to have an 11% loss day after day for it to be a disaster.
No, it's just not how the market works, man. It's like if we have a huge pullback on the market and the market's down like in 2008 or whatever it was, I think like over the course of a few years, we lost like 40-something% of the value of the Dow, let's say. So that's huge over a period of a few years. That is just a devastating, like half of the value of the market is gone. But the thing is, like, even in a terrible situation like that, what that does is it creates huge opportunities to buy those things cheap. And people know how to do that, but institutions know how to do that even better. And, hedge funds and things like that. So the money flowing out of the market, like with those losses, it's like a banner on a banner ad on the internet saying there's a fucking sale and a flashing lights at you. Somebody's going to take advantage. That money goes flooding back in to buy all these things up at the low prices. And what happens then? The market rebounds. And this is a cycle that we can expect to happen every time this happens. And how do I know that? Because that's what's happened every time this has happened. This is exactly what happened in 1929. It's exactly what happened in 2008 or 6 or whatever it was. So it's just a matter of how long.
Yeah.
How long is it going to take? And after the housing crash and all that, it was like 3 years.
But that's why it's a gamble, because if it's 3 years, then we're fucked.
If it's 3 years, that's the whole presidency. That's true. But okay, and fair enough. Okay, but the thing is, I lived through the 2006, 7-8 period. I lived through that, and it was nothing like the Great Depression. I was still buying 55-inch televisions. I was still going out to eat. They weren't rationing gasoline. They weren't rationing eggs. It was hard. But it wasn't that fucking bad. If we had to do that again, if we had to suffer through that again to get to the other side of some brand new fresh start opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
Fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too. I do think that there's no guarantee that it's not going to be a lot worse. I think that possibility is there, that it could be more like the Great Depression, that it could be worse than the Great Depression.
What would have to happen for that? Like, I don't know. I don't know
either, but it's not an impossibility. It could happen.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of people saying that the methods that we've been using to prevent us from having to deal with this is making it to where when it happens, it's going to be a lot, maybe not as bad or worse than the Great Depression, but it's gonna hurt. Like, it's gonna be really bad.
It's true.
So,
yeah, I mean, and the point you brought up earlier about treasuries and interest rates, that's the recipe, man. Like, people like Elon Musk keep saying, and people like John Stossel have been saying forever, that you can only borrow so much money. And when we're selling treasuries, those are all IOUs.
Mm-hmm.
And then as interest rates go up, repaying those things become more and more expensive. And right now, what Musk has been saying is the service of the debt, the interest payments on the money that we borrow to run our government is now more than their entire military. That's
Crazy.
the interest, dude. That is the recipe. Those are the things that, like, to your point, that are our catastrophic recipe, man.
Yep. Who knows? Could be bad.
That's why you have Trump right now, trying to put some pressure on the Fed to lower rates.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, come on. I think that's a short-sighted thing for him to do. But I'm sure Trump feels as much pressure. He feels way more pressure than we do talking about this, but I feel the pressure. You know, he's got to be looking for a win, you know?
Yeah, you would assume.
Something to put out there, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people would say that he's had a bunch of wins. And again, I don't want to be. I trust Trump. I'm willing, like I said, I'm willing to just like wait it out and see how it goes. But I definitely do have questions. I don't understand everything that's going on. I don't love everything that's going on. You know, a lot of this stuff with Israel, I'm not a huge fan of. Like recently they said that, any kind of anti-Semitism that they find of people who were seeking, you know, green cards or whatever, that will be, you know, you won't be able to. Is there anything in the policy for people who are coming here? If they hate white people, is there any kind of policy that says that they're not allowed to be here?
Or if they hate capitalism.
Yeah, or any of those things. But if they hate Jewish people, then they're not allowed to come in. Yeah. It's like that kind of shit just really bothers me. It's like the movement behind one of the many movements that coalesce behind Trump is America First. And like that is 100% what I'm all about. And this like bending over backwards for Israel, I just really don't fucking like it, man. It really irritates me.
Yeah, like when we hear about things like I can't remember who it was that was talking about this. I think it was a Rogan interview where he was talking about how every member of Congress, except for Thomas Massie, has a lobbyist for Israel attached to them. Like those things are very, very strange. But when I see the story about the kid in Colombia who's a foreigner, student over here, who's leading violent rallies or riots or whatever against Israel, and we're deporting him, I think that's fucking fantastic. Why should we have somebody who's not even a citizen here benefiting from one of our finest universities coming in here and causing trouble and violence? Fuck directly off. That's so disrespectful for that opportunity that you were given. You're going into somebody else's house and just breaking the china. Like, dude, you're a fucking guest, man. Fuck that guy, you know? Like, I'm okay with that.
I would be too if I knew for a fact that he was like causing violence, which I really don't. I don't fucking care one way or the other. We like literally deport every single Muslim. We can deport every single green card holder in the United. I don't fucking care. Let's get rid of all of them. It's fine. But just about like this specific one, I don't know what the truth is. I really don't care that much, but from what I've understood, I've heard some people say that he really wasn't violent, that he was just like leading protests and stuff like that.
Even so,
yeah,
you don't have a right. You're not a citizen. You don't have a right to protest. You don't have a right to assembly. You're not a citizen.
I don't know that that's true.
If it's not true, it fucking should be true. Why in the world are our constitutional rights given to extended to people who aren't citizens? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I totally agree in terms of like people who are like literally illegal aliens, like people who have come here completely no process at all.
Oh, I see what you mean.
But green card, it's like they've come here, they've gone through some kind of a process, and they've been like promised some level of rights and protections. They're not citizens, but they do have some kind of rights.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, no, I'm not defending it. I'm just saying I'm
think,
pretty sure that is the situation.
I think having a green card, going through the process and having a green card gives you the privilege, the tremendous privilege to be here.
I think we should be able to revoke it at any time
for any reason.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm 100%.
But like, let's say you have somebody who's a student with a student visa. He's over here studying, and he's wherever he's from, Ethiopia, let's say. I don't know, wherever. Should he have the right to bear arms? Should he have the right to assembly? Should because if we extend all of those rights to him, he could lead an armed riot and be perfectly within his rights. I think that is madness. That is madness. And to have somebody who isn't a citizen riling up citizens, like disturbing the peace, that's already a fucking crime. Like I don't know, man. Like I'm resisting it as I say it because I feel I'm feeling a little big brothery right now, which I don't generally like to do. But sometimes it flares up in me, man. Sometimes I'm conflicted with myself.
Well, I think that confliction is good because, I've been saying forever now that from this point forward, if the right wing of America wants to act like libertarians, we're going to lose because libertarians are ineffective. I think we need to throw the libertarian shit out the window, get rid of it completely. I think that libertarianism is a kind of a lot like the idea of communism. It's possible to work, but it's not going to work right now, and it's not going to work with this big group of different people that we have, because people are going to take advantage. People are going to not want to help other people. I think that, some kind of libertarian, even like a socialist libertarian kind of thing in a place like Belgium, it would probably work really well, Yeah. But here in America, it's not an option.
I think you're spot on. And it's tough for me to say that because I do have a lot of sympathy for the libertarian position. I have no sympathy for the communist position. I think the communist position is such a highfalutin utopian idea, but so is libertarianism, and maybe to a similar degree. I agree with you. I think that I think they're both idealistic, libertarianism and communism, meaning they only work in theory, and they're contrary to human nature. Both systems are contrary to human nature. Mm-hmm. In order for you to have a libertarian utopia, everybody would have to deal fairly with everybody else continually. You have one rat, you have one parasite, you have one shyster, the whole thing goes under. And the same thing with the communist utopia. In a communist utopia, you would have to have everybody satisfied with the greater good being the ultimate goal, seeing themselves as cogs in a wheel, as ants in a colony, and what's important is the colony, not you.
Yeah.
That is not human nature. Every fucking human being has a sense of ego and a sense of a subjecthood. And whether you're a Christian or not, and have that idea about, some sort of divine component of human dignity or whatever, you don't even need that. Every person is an individual. We're not a hive, So I think you're spot on, man. They're both idealistic, and they're both destined to fail for the same reason. That's a really hard thing to admit because I am sympathetic about the libertarian argument.
The thing that's really hard to accept about it is that if you want to be a part of a movement that is going to be effective and actually take over a government and become you want to go with the communism,
We want to go with the tactics that they're using anyway.
Yeah, I guess. Those tactics, would you be able to use those tactics and be a libertarian?
You could use propaganda and be a libertarian, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's about it.
Yeah, my point is that right now, if Donald Trump was I'm gonna start being a real pure libertarian, we're done. We're cooked. Yep. We're not getting anything done. You know, so I just really, I really hope that he doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Which he won't.
Yeah. The libertarians can't use force to persuade, and communists can.
Yeah.
They got no problem with it.
Not just communists, lots of other
Lots of
people
other,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
So, you said you wanted to talk about current events. So one of the things I was doing was just like, well, I not necessarily for this podcast. I always do it, but I was doing it before this podcast. Was just going through the headlines and just seeing like, what's being talked about and how are they framing it.
What else is going on right now?
Well, the point we can look. The point I was going to make though is I went to the Daily Wire and just did the same thing. So I just went through the headlines, and it's so like what stories they choose to cover are totally different. And the stories that they cover in common are framed completely differently.
Oh, you mean like from your Apple News app to Daily Wire? I gotcha.
Yeah, let me do news.google.com. Let me just have this experiment for a second. All right, here we go. Harrisburg man to be charged for arson attack on Pennsylvania governor. Did you see that?
Mm-mm.
That Shapiro fellow that Kamala Harris didn't use as his running mate. Apparently, somebody tried to burn down the governor or the other governor's mansion or whatever.
Crazy.
Yeah. So that's there, which, by the way, Shapiro was a Democrat. So having this story in the news, somebody tried to firebomb the governor's mansion.
Yeah.
What the subtext is crazy conservatives going after the liberal Jewish fellow. All right, here we go. Next one is Russian ballistic missile strike kills dozens in Ukraine. So, okay. So we know they're at war, but what this is telling us is Russia bad guy. The subtext is Russia bad guy. Look at what they're doing. You see the flames?
Yeah.
Okay. 17-year-old Wisconsin allegedly killed his parents as a part of a plot to assassinate Trump. Yeah, I didn't look at that story, but that's weird, dude. Did you hear anything about that?
Nope, I haven't heard about that at all.
So some kid killed his parents and then was going off to kill President Trump and gets arrested, in the process. So partly the subtext of this is people continue to try to assassinate the president. So there must be a reason, right? It's like this story incites more of this, but it potentially incites more of this, but it's also painting the picture that people want the president to die. There must be a reason, right? This 17-year-old kid threw his life away for it and killed his parents for it.
Yeah.
So there's some of that.
I mean, someone might say that this 17-year-old killed his parents and was going to kill Trump. This 17-year-old's clearly crazy.
Clearly crazy, but what drove him? What drove him to it?
Yeah. All
right. Israel attack on Al-Haliyah Hospital in Gaza City draws global condemnation. Well, so here we have, this is from Al Jazeera, but in any case, Israel bad, right? Israel bombed a hospital.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sympathetic to that one. I gotta be honest with you.
Well, but we all know that that Hamas has historically put weapons caches in places like that.
Yeah.
Because they want stories like this. If anything happens, then they can flip the fucking switch and say, look at, they're bombing our fucking daycares. Yeah, well, you had fucking the 50 soldiers in the basement. All right, now if you go and you look at, let's say, Newsmax. Let's try Newsmax. I guess I could go to the Daily Wire too, but all right, let's see how Newsmax is framing it. Trump aides tariff exemptions on chips temporary. So we didn't see this part of the story on the Google News because it was limited for some reason. My top stories are like I can on my phone I can scroll for days on top stories, but on the fucking PC it's only giving me like 5 top stories. So there's all this like criticism about like we started talking about at the beginning. So are we doing the tariffs? Are we not doing the tariffs? Are we doing them on everyone or just on some? Are we going to pull back parts of the tariff? Like it's like all this wishy-washiness. And so Newsmax is just saying like, it's just temporary, guys. Calm down. I don't fucking like this. Let's go to Daily Wire.
Is that LeBron?
All right. It sure is. It's a doll, like a claymation LeBron. All right, here's the top stories. Trump's physical examination shows no significant abnormalities. Okay, that's weird, but
Other than
other than bullet scarring.
Oh.
Okay.
I saw that he came out of that and he was like, he took a cognitive test and that he got like everything right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like rubbing it in Biden's face, basically.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
Let's see what else.
Always love taking shots at Biden.
From tariffs to talks, Trump advisor reports 130 countries now seek a deal. Right, well, you didn't hear that on the liberal news. 130 countries, not China, but 130 countries are willing to make a deal. Trump hails fantastic Bukele ahead of White House meeting with El Salvador's president. Well, that's one of the countries that are dealing. That's interesting because of the way that he's handling El Salvador.
Yeah.
Trump exempts smartphones and other electronics from the additional tariffs on China. Now that's interesting, man. Do you think that is like the angle you were saying earlier, where it's like the market's freaking out, and so the people are freaking out, and so we have to make a concession so that the markets will calm down, and the Chinese maybe won't be so pissed because right now we're in a pissing match? Or do you think that this is strategic? Like, I want to think that it's strategic and that Trump is keeping his ultimate designs to himself. And as this unfolds, we're going to start to see it. Like, we're going to start to see what Trump has had in mind all along. I realize that's a very optimistic, way of thinking about it. But what do you think? You think something like this is intentional, or that this is appeasement, like backpedaling?
Yeah, I don't know. I almost wonder if maybe it's he's taking that off because people buy phones in America and he doesn't want the prices to be sky high.
Yeah.
He like doesn't want that that shift in the prices to like affect his popularity. So he's like, we'll exempt these things, these technology things that people, but I mean, I really don't know. I have no idea why he would be doing that.
I don't either. I mean, Apple's an American company, but I mean, the other top two, I mean, what is it? Samsung, that's Korean. That's a Korean company.
Yeah. I mean, Apple's an American company, but they build tons of shit in China.
Absolutely.
China makes, so that's going to be affected by tariffs still.
Last top story here says Doge review finds 3 dim states account for most unemployment fraud since 2020. I don't know what those states are, but I'm guessing it's California, Illinois, and New York, if I had to guess.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
That's another thing. It's like that kind of stuff has only recently popped up, but I just wonder, the unemployment fraud that Doge is finding now, like, is this going to be another one of those things where like 3 months from now where nothing has happened about it? It's like they point it out and they're like, can you believe all of this?
Right.
And then nothing happens.
Right. Yeah.
Build
the gallows, sir.
Yeah. We got to do something. I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. I'm hoping that comes.
I'm hoping this whole brilliant art of the deal situation, and all of us just American idiots, as Green Day would say, we just don't get it.
Yeah.
And it's all gonna the light is gonna shine down from heaven on this grand plan, and all this stuff is gonna fall into place, and we're gonna be like, I knew it all along.
I'll tell you what, I'm happier not knowing than knowing that what was being done was bad.
Yeah.
Because that's what was happening under Joe Biden. Like, every single thing that they were doing didn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
And now it's like things are confusing, but I can at least see that, like, I can at least see how maybe it's going to work out well,
Well, that is a weird dynamic, because when this administration started, it was like, we're going to be the most transparent administration that there's ever been. And this is how it needs to be right now, because there's a lack of trust from the American people in our institutions and our government. And we're doing something different. And, we want to be transparent. And so you have like when Trump, in the beginning, when Trump was signing all those executive orders, he was doing it on film, talking about each one. Musk came in, was doing the same. And there's all these interviews and podcasts they were doing even after the election. And it was like, they're always talking about it. This is why we're doing this. This is what we found. And it seemed like this very transparent thing. But when it comes to the strategies with the tariffs, like, I don't see any transparency. Like, we don't have any fucking idea. And I kind of get it. Like, you wouldn't want to, if you're negotiating, you're not going to put all your cards on the table. So what do you expect?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm just like hoping that a lot of stuff that is being pushed as like we're getting stuff done, I'm hoping that there's like payoff of it, because like a lot of the stuff, it sounds good, but I'm not really sure. Like even with immigration, like
that's true.
The amount of people that we're deporting, it's not enough. Like we need to be getting more people shipped out of here.
I haven't seen numbers on it, and I haven't seen like any stories about it lately. Like, I don't know if you have. I haven't.
I mean, it's been, I don't hear them like every day or anything, but I've definitely heard some numbers, and it's not a lot. I mean, it's a lot, but it's not enough to get rid of the amount of people that we need to get rid of.
Yeah.
It's like if we continue doing the numbers that we're doing, like all the way through his presidency, it's like 500,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's like 10 million.
Not enough.
Yeah. So, but then, I mean, I don't care. I'm just talking about how it's going to look to a lot of people if we did like ramp it up to the point where we could get rid of that many people, how that would look. And I think that it might make some people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I'm not opposed to it.
Better to do it sooner rather than later if you're worried about the next election. Like, we have short memories now.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, let's get all the terrible like photography of all the Border Patrol people and like the National Guard and all that, like with vans full of immigrants, is crying and wailing and kids and all that. Like, get all those pictures out now, so that people forget about it by the time the next election rolls around.
Yeah.
And I also wonder about that, like that you say we haven't heard about the Epstein stuff. All this fraud is being uncovered, but nobody's being like thrown under the bus or whatever. Like, all that stuff makes it's completely legitimate. I wonder if we have a long time on this presidential term yet to go. A lot of shit can happen.
Yeah.
And you wonder, like, are they saving this stuff in their back pocket for propaganda reasons? Like, if things really go poorly with the tariffs and then Epstein's list gets dropped, people will fucking not care.
It's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hopefully. I mean,
is it just strategic in that way? I don't know. Because the worst case scenario is that Trump and the Republican establishment are just as guilty as the Democrats, and they are intentionally trying to hide this stuff under the rug until we forget about it.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be true.
Yeah. I do wonder that, like, if Trump had dropped the Epstein stuff day one, I do wonder, like, would that have bought him enough good grace to get through the tariffs, even if he did do the tariffs afterward and they don't work out? I don't know. I mean, that's a risk. That's a gamble for sure.
Yeah.
But
I think
I don't know what to think about it.
I think our memories are too short. And I think if he would have done that, it would have been one more promise that he kept.
Yeah.
But there was a fucking cavalcade of that in the beginning. All the executive orders that he signed, we were just like, yeah, man, just like, he's checking boxes. Like, I promised you this, I promised you that. He was keeping promises, and he was doing all that. Like, if you would have thrown in the Epstein list on top of that, I think it would have just been part of the wash. It would have been dramatic, and it would have been big news and all that. And it will be whenever it happens.
If it ever happens.
Yeah. And maybe we just have to wait for the reason, whatever makes it worth it.
Yeah.
And I think as the PR or the propaganda value of something like that, I think that's something you keep in your back pocket if you're Trump.
Yeah. That makes sense. Hopefully that's the case, because if the case is that it's just not coming out, not going to be a huge fan of that.
Now, he did release the JFK stuff, but I didn't hear anything about it. Like, I didn't.
I mean, I have to assume that anything that's like incriminating or crazy about the JFK stuff is probably deleted long ago, you know?
Yeah, or redacted or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. What else you got, Kyle? I think we're at 2 hours.
I mean, we're getting close.
Yeah.
I got to go to the bathroom. So
gotta pee. All right. All right. So that's going to be it for the Two Tongues.
Yes, indeed.
Season 5.
Enjoy Texas, man.
Oh yeah, thanks. I'll let everyone know how it goes. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, rock and roll.
Go pee, Kyle.
Well, there you have it. That's one avenue explored, but infinitely more still to go. I hope you enjoyed thinking along with us. I know. It's not easy work. Thinking. It's hard and full of uncertainties, but I'm grateful for the company as we trek through this together. Here's to hoping that the juice is worth the squeeze. See what I did there? Let's find out together in the next episode.